The fall did not stop, it only changed color. One moment, I was standing in a metal chamber, surrounded by creatures who did not blink the way I blink. And the next moment, the floor opened, and the sky swallowed me whole. Wind tore at my skin. My ears popped twice before a strange, calm voice spoke inside my skull, translated straight into my mind by the small device they had pushed behind my ear an hour earlier. Trial has begun. Survive if you are able. That was it. No countdown. No warning shot, just open air, and a world rushing up to meet me. I hit the ground hard, rolled through wet grass, and came up coughing dirt. My hands were empty. No knife, no rope, nothing but the clothes on my back, and a heartbeat that refused to slow down. Somewhere above me, in a place I could not see, thousands of alien eyes were watching a screen, watching me, waiting for the first blood of the day. I want to tell you I was calm. I was not. My chest felt like a drum being hit by something angry. But somewhere under the fear, an old part of my brain was already working. The part that remembers we were never the strongest animal on our own planet. We were never the fastest, or the one with the sharpest claws. We survived because we watched. We learned. We outlasted. The first sound came from my left. Heavy steps, slow at first, then faster. Grass bent and snapped under something big. It broke through the tree line low and fast. A creature built like a wall of muscle wrapped in dark plates, with eyes set deep and a mouth built for one purpose only. It was bred for this, bred to end anything dropped into this world within minutes. I did not run. Running would have told it exactly what I was. Prey. Instead I stood my ground, dropped my shoulders, and made myself as wide as I could. I raised my arms slow, not fast, and I stared straight into its eyes, the way you stare down something that wants to see you flinch first. It slowed. That confused it more than anything I could have done. Prey does not stand still. Prey does not stare back. It charged anyway, testing me, and I stepped sideways at the last second, grabbed a low branch hanging beside me, and swung it hard across its snout. Not to hurt it badly, just enough to sting, enough to say I am not something you swallow without a fight. It staggered back, shook its head, and made a sound that was almost confusion. I kept my ground. I kept my eyes locked on it. Slowly, its posture changed. The tension in its shoulders dropped. It circled once, twice, then sat back on its haunches, watching me the way a dog watches a stranger it is not sure about yet. Somewhere far above, I imagined a room full of aliens leaning forward in their seats. I did not know it then, but the sensors reading that creature's body had just recorded something that had never happened in the history of the trial. A kill event that turned into something else. A submission. I did not stay to celebrate. I moved on, keeping the creature at a careful distance behind me, letting it decide on its own whether to follow. It followed. By the time the sun had crossed a quarter of the sky, 3 more predators had found me. Each one bigger than the last, each one built by design to be faster, stronger, and hungrier than whatever came before it. This was not an accident. Somewhere in the systems running this trial, someone had noticed the anomaly and decided to correct it with more teeth. The second one came from above, dropping out of the trees with claws spread wide. I threw myself sideways, felt the wind of its landing brush past my shoulder, and rolled into a crouch facing it before it could turn. This one was faster than the first, more aggressive, more used to winning. It did not slow down to study me. It came again immediately. I grabbed a fallen branch thick as my arm and used it the way a person uses a broom to guide a stray dog away from a doorway. Not to strike with force, but to block, to redirect, to remind it that space belongs to whoever refuses to give it up. 3 times it lunged. 3 times I turned its own momentum against it, letting it crash into brush instead of into me. By the 4th attempt, it was breathing hard, tongue out, eyes uncertain. I lowered the branch. I did not attack. I simply stood there, breathing steady, refusing to be afraid in a way it could smell. It backed off first. The first creature, the one already trailing behind me, made a low sound toward the second one. Almost like a warning, almost like it was telling the newcomer something. I did not understand the language of that world, but I understood posture. and posture told me enough. By nightfall, I had 4 of them following at a distance. Not attacking, not friendly either, just circling, watching, waiting to see what kind of creature I really was. I built a small fire from dry branches, more out of habit than need, and sat with my back to a rock wall so nothing could come at me from behind. The predators kept their distance, but they did not leave. Somewhere close to midnight, the calm voice returned in my head. Anomaly detected. Continue observation. I almost laughed. Anomaly. That was one word for it. The truth was simpler than they realized. Every creature on that world had been bred to be the strongest thing anyone had ever dropped there. What they had not accounted for was a species raised on a planet full of animals twice its size, 3 times its speed, and far more dangerous in raw power. Long before we built cities, we learned how to walk beside creatures that could kill us in seconds, and convince them not to. We did it with wolves, we did it with wild cattle, we did it with horses that could have crushed us under a single hoof. It was never about being stronger, it was about being the one who refused to panic first. By morning, the number following me had grown to 6. A new predator arrived just after sunrise, larger than the rest combined, its skin dark red, its jaw built wide enough to end this in one motion. I could tell immediately this one had been sent, because the others had failed. This one was not meant to be reasoned with. It came in silent, low to the ground, moving with a patience the others lacked. I felt real fear then, the kind that sits heavy in your stomach and refuses to leave, but fear is only dangerous when it controls your legs. I kept mine steady. When it lunged, I did not dodge cleanly. Its shoulder caught my side and threw me hard into the dirt. Pain flared bright and sharp, but I forced myself back onto my feet before it could close the distance again. This time, the first creature moved. It stepped between us, lowering its head, making a sound I had heard it use once before, toward the second predator, on the first day, a warning, a claim. The larger predator paused. I understood then what had happened without ever meaning it to happen. These creatures were not loyal to me, because I had tamed them the way you tame something small and harmless. They were loyal because, in their world, whoever stood their ground without fear became the one worth following. I had not planned to build anything, I had only refused to run. But somewhere along the way, without meaning to, I had become the largest and most stubborn animal on that entire field. The red predator backed away first, uncertain, outnumbered by creatures who had once been its rivals, and were now, somehow, standing beside a human instead. I did not chase it. I let it go. The hours after that blurred into something calmer. The predators stayed close, resting when I rested, moving when I moved. By the time the sky began to shift into the colors of a second evening, I understood that whatever this trial had been designed to prove, it was not going to end the way anyone above me had planned. When the extraction signal finally came, a bright light cutting down through the clouds, I was sitting near the fire, surrounded on all sides by creatures that had once been sent to end me within minutes of arrival. The transport lowered slowly, hesitant, as if the pilot could not quite believe what the sensors were showing. A voice crackled through, translated, "Careful. Explain what is happening on the surface." I looked around at the creatures resting near the fire, none of them raising a claw toward the light, none of them afraid of the ship the way I would have expected an animal facing something new and loud to be. I stood, brushed the dirt from my clothes, and looked straight into the light above me. "Where I come from," I said, "we do not run from big teeth. We just teach them who is in charge." The silence on the other end lasted a long time before the ship finally opened its door and let me walk out, unarmed, unafraid, and no longer alone.